Here he is. So a little bit of adjustment here on the volume settings before we get started. Happy Sunday to everyone. I was planning on streaming this morning, and there ended up being a lot of streams going on this morning, so I was kind of in and out of a couple of them. But one that I became engaged with was James Apperson's stream. Was very intriguing this morning, and I ended up actually, so I kind of became engaged with a person in the live chat there, and at first we were kind of punting him around, and I started to try to kind of take his ideas seriously, or their ideas. I'm assuming this person's seems like, well, yeah, I don't know. You can't really judge gender by a side chat. But anyway, point is, this person, James offered for them to come into the room, and we kind of started out talking. Well, there were a few issues that came up, but I thought, one of the interesting ones for me was the abortion issue, and so I posted a comment. For those who haven't seen the short, in which James was responding to my comment and kind of expounded upon it, and so I thought that was very good. But then, basically, I tried to invite this person over to the channel here, and essentially they weren't interested or something, and so basically, this is what we call a keyboard warrior. Because when I asked them, they were like, "Well, I like to do written debates or something like that." I was like, "You mean, what do you mean?" Like, and then I put two and two together. I was like, "Oh, you just mean side chat debates?" So, there's a difference between all that keyboard warrior bullshit and actual debates, in my opinion. Not that people can't make good points in side chat. I mean that can happen. I don't think it's, something that's like to be engaged with. It's like, I wouldn't call that like a serious debate. But I did take that clip of James's response to me and put it up here because I thought it was a good point. Very, very. I mean, it's not. It's funny in a dark sense, but this is, this is where that logic goes. Like when you start to really put these ideas together and say, okay, if I took this, argument ad absurdum or whatever, where does it go? And that's where it goes. If you don't know, just watch my last short video, James Apperson's argument for Christian antinatalism, and you'll be knowing.
Spirit, and that doesn't make sense.
Yes, because of their love that they have for God.
Head on, put it right on the forehead.
David was.
So we're listening to these fine folks here. TJ's in there, Togg's in there. We also have Irenic and Saint Jill and Saint Tommy here. And they've been going back and forth for those who weren't watching the last one. We're going back and forth between this conversation and some conversations that I've had with Irenic. Once again, for context, there are previous conversations that I've had with Irenic, at least, one on Wild Heart's channel that is no longer available, right? Content was removed. So that's kind of some of the context there. But I have a history with Irenic going, I think back to the Raging Atheist channel in side chats and stuff in open rooms.
David, let's look at scripture. David, the Bible says that David was a man after his own heart, correct?
Jill, there's a difference between having the Holy Spirit indwelling you because you're a believer. That happens at the time you believe, right? It's a gift of God. The Spirit comes and dwells in you. But then there is you can be filled with the Holy Spirit and do miracles. That's a different kind of, revelation.
Does the Bible, do you believe David was saved? Go ahead. Do you believe that he was a man after God's own heart?
at the time that was spoken of him, yes.
Okay. So the text says we will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Right? If you look closely at what the text is saying, it's talking about being proud and that being something that satisfies you. When I overeat, I should feel, as a Christian, I should feel convicted. I should feel bad about what I've done. It didn't gratify me like it used to gratify me before I became saved. I used to look forward to that binge, right? I used to look forward to going.
You're making me hungry, Jill. Go ahead,
okay? All right. So when the Spirit, now you're walking in the Spirit, that gratification isn't there. You actually, it might be there temporarily because of your flesh, and you're satisfying your flesh, but afterwards you feel that the love that you have for God, now the relationship that you have for God or with God, now takes precedent, and now you're sorry for your action, and you're asking God for help. You're not proud of it. You're not going around marching half naked in front of children. You're not doing all of those things, and you're not boasting in them or making excuses for the behavior.
Okay, St. Tommy, can you comment on any of that?
Yeah, I endorse every word of it. I want to confess that I gratify my flesh every time I take a breath of fresh air. It just happens. I can't help it sometimes.
Is that what is meant by that? I don't think so.
All right.
What about you, Victor?
I don't know if that was a sin, but
there's a place and time for everything.
The spirit and the flesh, and what Jill said. Anything?
I kind of forgot what I already said originally.
Well, like my original objection was, it seems like Jill is saying, because Paul says, it seems to me pretty clearly, if you walk in the, he's admonishing Christians to walk in the Spirit, make sure you're walking in the Spirit. That he was telling, it's like something we need to do, like we could not be doing it, this is like, so walk in the Spirit, and if you do that, you won't be fulfilling the lust of the flesh. So, but Jill seemed to be saying that a Christian could be involved in actual sin right in the act, and be walking in the Spirit.
It happens. It happens, Barry.
So you're
no, I don't think that does happen unless it's in ignorance.
The Spirit is the Holy Spirit is indwelt in the believer. Okay,
I agree with you.
So you can grieve the Holy Spirit.
Doesn't leave us.
So you can grieve the Holy Spirit, and so the Spirit is still.
I mean, I would imagine if you're in the act of adultery, cranking on some married woman, the Holy Spirit would be like, I don't think it would. The Holy Spirit is there. I'm saying the person is not walking in the Spirit at that moment. That's what I'm saying. Okay, all right, good. All right.
What Christian Confessions? You've been watching Christian Confessions.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
All right. See,
this is where we need Reprobators Anonymous. Yeah. Reprobators Anonymous.
Pine Creek needed to get you, more.
Ironic.
He could have helped you back.
Reprobators, is that proper? I don't know. I was just wondering though, is that Holy Spirit? Are you walking in the Holy Spirit when you're like on YouTube trolling atheists or even other Christians?
The same position, if you would.
He kicked me. I was going to. You know what my next move was, right? You know what my next move was. He knew it. Because he was
you were going to interrupt him like you did St. Tommy?
I was going
to take his woman.
No. I was going to go to abortion. That's where I was going. He felt it. He knew. Where I was going.
He's going there.
That with a 10-foot pole.
Irenic, tell us.
Check out James Aberson's argument for Christian antinatalism, Jill.
What's your favorite way to get filled with this Holy Spirit?
To walk in.
I know you're indwelt.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
What's your favorite way to get filled with the Holy Spirit?
Well,
do you pray? Do you read scripture? Do you follow the law? Do you stop breaking the law? What's your favorite?
Yeah, how it works with me is I just walk in biblical love towards everyone around me.
I thought.
Okay, nobody in the chat yet, from what I can see, but I do apologize. Sometimes not all of these comments will show up on Prism. Like I realized when I went back to check the stream the last time, I missed look at the trees. So apologies to look at the trees. So if comments do go by, I'm not intentionally ignoring anybody in the side chat. Prism just is not reliable for that sometimes, and I don't see them until I go back to watch the live stream. Right now, I can't monitor the live stream unless I physically actually stream it back here when I so. But I didn't bother to check sound or anything today, which maybe I should, just in case. Damn it, then I might lose my place. I just feel pretty confident that the technology is working since the last time I used it, and so.
I thought walking in the Spirit was a product of being filled with the Spirit.
Well,
so which comes first, the chicken or the egg, kind of a thing?
Well, I would appeal. Obviously, I'm going to appeal to the New. Obviously, I'm going to appeal to the New Testament. I mean, if you're going to press me like that.
So you find a New Testament and you appeal to it. Okay.
Romans 5.
I'm snagging music and harmony before
is one of my favorite.
I think
Frequency,
prayer. I would
So-
suggest prayer as a practical strategy towards being
good
filled
vibes,
with the Spirit,
You definitely don't read all of Romans 5, Irenic.
frequency, Mother
I know
Nature.
you don't read all of it.
much less 9.
Are you walking in joy right now, St. Tommy?
On occasion, yes.
Those who walk in the Spirit walk in joy, peace. We don't have any worry or anxiety. I went into one stream and I told the guy, said, "How you doing today?" I said, "Never had a bad day in my life." He he basically called me a liar. I was like, "Man, how miserable do you have to be?" Someone says they never had a bad day in your life, and you just say, "No, that can't be true because I've had several bad days," and that's the attitude.
That's
So they're
called
not.
envy, Jill.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is impossible that somebody would have just literally no bad days in their life. Like even the most, like affluent, well-to-do, we say like a privileged person, right? You're still gonna have a sick day. You're still gonna have a breakup. You're gonna have the loss of a loved one. You're gonna have a bad day. So I think that's just. I think when Christians do that, right? If anybody, but particularly Christians are doing that, right? To try to project a false sense of like perfection in their lives, because that's what they always think. Like, oh, if I believe on Jesus, things are going to go well for me, and so they have to maintain that kind of that sense of optimism, but they have to ramp it up to 110, right? It can't be like a normal, like measured sense of optimism. It has to be very overly optimistic. And so to do that, you have to bullshit yourself about the past and say that I've never had a bad day in my life. I think it's also a way of conveying to the person that you're speaking to that you are putting up like walls, right? You're not going to discuss any actual difficulties you might have with them, right? You're putting that wall right up front when you say that to somebody.
So they don't walk in peace. They don't have peace. They don't, because they reject the Prince of Peace.
I want
Okay.
more peace. I want.
So let me
Well, hold on. Jesus was crucified. Yes, hello, my awesome life. According to the story, that's true, and that must have been a very bad day for Jesus.
read this.
5 and dribbles Reisen?
See, garçon.
Oh, that's
All right.
been a song. Doesn't a song open up with that?
Trying to recall 9th grade.
By the way, that was William Freeman who told me that. No, that's impossible. Excuse me. I'm eating
I need
crap.
to. Okay, I want to read these verses here, but this is the answer, St. Tommy. So this is
I could see that. I could see William
Romans
saying
chapter
that
5.
to you.
Therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom also we have access by faith into this grace in which we stand, and rejoice in the hope of the glory of God. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. Now this is the verse.
My awesome life says the Bible teaches that bad things will come. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, the Bible doesn't deny that evil exists. Only jaded Christians do. People who say otherwise are ridiculous. Indeed.
Now hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who was given to us. So this is how I experience it, just to answer your question.
Yeah.
So walk in love, and that's walking in the Spirit, if as I feel. And you
What
when
is
you're not
love?
walking in love,
What is love?
Well, that's always wanting
Baby,
the best
don't
for
hurt
another
me.
person.
Is that a feeling
Being
that you
concerned about
experience?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt
Is that
me.
your experience of love? At what expense to others do you have?
I have been the target of Irenic's love before.
Exactly.
Hold
Yeah.
on,
What is
AJ.
love?
I've been the victim of love, actually.
Oh,
The victim
God.
of love.
That's another great song. Somebody's door. Not my door. My roommate's door. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Shit, I had a brain fart. I'm back. Oh, yeah. So William was asking about the latest recording project, and it is taking a little more time than anticipated, but we're still working on it. I do have a couple of recordings. They're just not releasable yet. So, but that is going on. So,
Yes, it's terrible.
That's precious.
How's
Victim of
that?
love. What the
Go
heck?
ahead, Todd. How can you
Sounds
love
like
people?
We got a confession on Al Street.
Might as well face into it.
Addicted to love.
Sometimes you can't help the people that do love you. It's
You
something
can't
that's
help
out of
them?
your control.
those were two different things. They conflated "Victim of Love" and "Addicted to Love." That's the Eagles, and then Robert Palmer. So those are very different things.
You
But yeah,
can't help the saying, there's nothing you can do
So
about.
how is that?
There's nothing you
okay,
can do about people who love you, right? There's nothing you can do about them
that's,
loving you.
and in that way they victimize you because you love them and you can't help but be prey to their sad case.
Hey, Jesus wept. Love ain't all smiles and sunshine. It hurts.
Well, I just wonder what Tog is getting at, with this. Yes.
Hey, William, good to see you.
Somebody, okay, I mean, explain that a little bit more.
The prudence of a man deters his anger, and it is to his glory to overlook an offense. Just all I'd say. It. Back to you, Doc.
Oh, you don't know? You've never been a victim of someone else's love?
Well, not the if it's love. I mean, I would define it like 1 Corinthians 13, or does, and those attributes. So I don't see a person loving you how you could be victimized by someone who's
When I
exercising
hear
love.
somebody say they love me, I surmise that they like me, and that level of love.
I mean, so there's healthy expressions of love and there's unhealthy expressions of love, right? So somebody might, in fact, love you in their own way and be an abusive person, right? So you would be a victim of abuse while also being loved by that person, right? The two can they can both be true. Yeah.
Disappear like a fart in a whirlwind the second I get on their nerves. I heard a man say, anytime, St. Tommy, anytime. I love you, St. Tommy. But anyway, I got triggered. Sorry. Back to you, Todd.
Anytime in the ring. That's right, brother. SmackDown 24. Tickets on sale now.
There's a certain fellow I know
What is
that
Excuse me.
he's
Maybe a
always on my
Longfellow?
ass. He is a long fellow. He's always on my ass. He's always on my case. He's always telling me about how, my attitude and sometimes my shit isn't acceptable. And if I keep it up, he might not stick around very much, right?
Can you hang out to me? This is online, you mean?
He's around. He comes to hangouts to and fro. I won't give his name out.
It's not
Hopefully you guys-
IRL. That's all. I'm
Hopefully
saying.
you guys can figure out who I'm talking about. But
This
anyway,
isn't
he comes,
IRL.
yeah, this is in real life. Yeah, he comes right, and he tells me this stuff. He's like, dude, he's like, you gotta stop some of this shit, dude. It's not cool, right?
What are you talking about? Your
killing
language?
you.
Or...
It's killing you. It's just
I know
almost
what
every
it
little
is.
thing.
I know
And
what it
then,
is.
and then, like, I tell the guy, I'm like, dude, I'm me. What else more can I do, dude?
I'm
Right?
gonna put it in the private chat, Doc. Tell me if this is him.
You said dude.
Lizard.
No.
Shout out to Mr. L out there.
He's very close to his Christian. Very close. Close to our hearts, this guy. He's always nagging me on. He gives me really good advice. He's like really good in my ear, And he can.
Is that nagging? Like if somebody's giving you good advice and they're telling you, "Hey, your behavior is bullshit," right? And you otherwise think this person generally gives me good advice. Maybe you should, like, maybe your behavior is bullshit, and you should, make some effort to change that, right?
It's me, and he drives me to do things, and sometimes I don't want to do them, but I do
Somebody's
them
coming to mind,
because
but
I
can't
know it's the right
explain.
thing to do.
I think the spirit's revealing who it is to me, but it's coming slowly. It's
Does
like
it sparkle?
I see it like
Spirit revealing?
I see it like trees walk
He's not gonna say it, or maybe he is. I don't know.
right now. Does anybody? Maybe you might pick that up.
Get that
Did somebody just come in? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4.
fresh meat.
No, no one came in. I shared my screen. I'm debating tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Okay, I was
guy's
like,
incredible.
What?
It's like he's everywhere at once.
Oh, I didn't know Jill debated Snake. Geez, that reminds me. It's been a while since I've talked to Snake was right. Missed that.
It's almost.
Debate Cafe. Why does it look like that? I can't even see the name of the channel. Anyway, that's on Snake's channel. You guys know Snake, right? Snake was right.
Nope.
Does the Bible advocate slavery? Seriously? Another
Again,
slavery debate?
Another one.
The atheists love it. They
What
just love it.
Yeah,
What the? I mean,
They're like, God was a meanie.
This was
He
their
enjoyed
main. This is
slavery.
this is their
God
ace of
was a meanie.
spades. This was their ace of spades card that they're gonna hold up. They think they're gonna hold it up, and it's gonna work.
Is that the name of the channel, Debate Cafe?
Yeah, it's called Debate Cafe. I don't know why.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but the Bible definitely doesn't condemn slavery.
It cut off the screen like that.
I'll look that up and check it out.
well,
Yeah,
it's
it's
because
tomorrow-
it's,
tomorrow at
because
10.
it's scheduled
Right
event,
on.
that's why.
That chick looks freaky. I don't know if I'd date her. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's so anything YouTube automatically takes down stuff like that. You have to be careful. It will not let you say certain things in YouTube chats. My awesome life.
That's
That's a terms of service thing. People's channels at times have been taken down for stuff that other people said in their side chats, or at least their videos have. I know that has happened. So.
Snake.
I don't think I want to put a
Tell
pecker in
these
that mouth. Look at that,
So
man.
he's
You
a
get caught
female
up.
snake.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Oh, fell for the trap.
I know.
It's a trap.
And guess who one of the judges will be?
Run bars who?
William?
Richard Madsen.
Oh my.
Oh,
Cool.
You automatically fail.
He's a very
Yeah.
logical guy.
I already lost 30 points going in. So,
He's like the Spock. Of
but I never paid any attention
Spock,
to
Jesus
their
Christ.
rulings.
how do you score a debate?
There is no religion.
I mean, how do
There is
you
no logic.
legitimately score a
yes,
debate?
Captain. But
You
is it,
don't.
is
Well,
Is there a
illogical?
certain?
Yeah,
you know,
there is. There is
No
irony.
question- no
Ad
question.
hom is minus 5 points. Ad hom for every
Okay.
ad hom is minus 5.
No Christian has ever won a debate on this channel, so I don't go here to win their little contest at the end of the debate or their
You
little
go in there to
fucking scoring.
parade, don't you, Jill? You go in
Not going into
parade
as-
fearlessness. Yep. Parade fearlessness. Yes, I do love it. I do love it.
Yeah, many people don't understand what's going on in the scriptures. So I mean, that's
Well, you
praise
used
is
to say
pretty
that
good.
about G-Man all the time, where St. Tommy, like the guy had confidence, or at least, or something
Well,
about his,
yes,
his
I
approach
said
to-
about Brother G-Man, I said that one reason why he
So my speaking of G-Man, I picked up on a G-Man video. My thumbnail for this stream was taken from one of G-Man's latest that I did put in the watch later list. I don't think I'm going to do it tonight, but I thought that was fun. So I have been keeping up on G-Man, by the way. He's coming back into the fold here.
is disliked is because he manifests fearlessness. He says
Oh,
some
right.
of the most outlandish things fearlessly.
right.
Like,
and
where's the
it's
scripture
But
actually
Jill is
beginning
different.
and
Jill
end?
is different. Jill
the sidewalk
parades
beginning and end?
fearlessness. Jill
If you
parades
wanna play-
fearlessness
If you
differently.
want to play
than
hopscotch in
G-Man.
front of somebody's house all day long and not look up and down the block, that's kind of like where the Bible's at, and that's where a lot of Christians fall into. They just stay on that one block and play hopscotch all day long with their friends. And make
Back
up their
and
own
forth.
Well,
rules.
come on over and play.
I am.
We've been on every
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
We had bikes, BJ. We've been on every block.
I actually don't know how to
I
play
put a motor on
hopscotch.
And don't let your
You never
knickers
played
get in the
hopscotch?
front.
We've taken
I
out
don't
all
think
your
I've ever played
drug
hopscotch.
dealers. We've taken out all your kingpins. We've taken them all out.
Bullshit. You guys are using them for your benefit by
been on every
fucking
block.
calling them in at the bottom of the basement to give them a 12-step fucking program, hoping they come in and bring the little fucking welfare babies that donate money when they get older. They get on drugs and they want to fucking
call me
live their
Frank
lives
White.
and come in, and it's a
They call
fucking
me
circle
Frank
of
White.
crap.
Why is that?
Well, at least it's a door that's always open, though.
They call me Frank White of the apologetics.
True.
I mean, think about it. Regardless, it's always there for the fucking fuck up kids, and that's a good.
Yeah,
thing,
but
right?
like, if you
I
get
was
back to
like-
if you get back to like true like crusade mentality, you like get these motherfuckers right. You make them to like Christian soldiers. You fucking whip them into fucking shape, or else they get the fucking torture bins. What happened to that kind of good shit?
I always
That's the
like
kind of
Victor
stuff
when
we
he's
need.
on. I like Victor when he's on his anti-Christian rants.
Just have
Yeah. So for those who don't pick up on that, it's going pretty fast. But yeah, B is not. He's there's a word for that. Yeah.
you said obnoxious, right?
Say it, I like it.
Say Tommy's still trying to figure it out in the private chat. I gave up after the first try. Say Tommy's.
Right. He's not going to say. He's not going to say.
Oh,
If I told you, you guys might be ashamed.
I think I was right on my first try.
That is shame.
All right,
I think I know who it is, but I just can't.
Kind of like how James and I actually weren't advocating for murdering babies. We were just taking those.
Think of
Yeah,
the name.
yeah.
Get rid of that snake eye. Making me hot and bothered.
Yeah, me too. Oh no, not that, but
Bothered.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
You're such a clown, Todd.
Give it about 2 more minutes, and we'll shift over to the other
That's
video.
not a person,
Oh.
right? That's in the online community, right?
Oh, trust me, he's around.
who?
William
Oh,
definitely can see
I
him.
know. I know he's around.
Do you
but-
listen for him talk? Do you listen for him?
He's a
Always.
Todd.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. If you listen for him, you'll hear him.
That,
Does he
that was a
come on the
bogus.
streams? How do you know it's a?
That's
It's not a
cheating,
matter
man.
of knowledge, Jill. It's a matter of discernment.
That was cheating.
I've never seen this person before.
Well, it's not a matter of experience.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh,
I haven't
okay.
either.
No, see, they capitalized the H and the S. That's why I see.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Oh,
What was
oh,
that?
now everyone's
I
gonna
thought
know.
that was-
forgive me
You're
for
doxing
that,
them.
yeah.
Initials there.
No, that's borderline
Take it.
blasphemous.
Hold up. No, yeah.
What the F? Yeah. No, it's hard to kind of get a We're bouncing all over the place, and in this is this conversation is kind of free flowing, so it's kind of hard to tell what's going on
Hold
sometimes.
up now.
Yeah.
But I think everyone in this room, except for PJ, to my knowledge, is Christian, right? And so they're just having a good old, kind of roll in the hay or whatever.
Lightning strike
Wait,
him.
I think that's the wrong phraseology.
I think
Forgive
he's
him.
understanding.
He knows
I
not what he
think
does. Yeah.
he's hard to offend. He's hard to offend.
Oh, speaking of lightning.
Yeah.
Speaking of lightning.
Oh yeah.
What is this? Oh, hold on. I gotta share it. Wait. What are you doing?
Ow.
Check this
These
out.
minorities
Ethan?
have something to
Evelyn?
teach the church about dying to self, about new life, about
Good God.
that is not a sign of God's judgment.
Flex diaper out.
Okay. Right. So moving back to the conversation that I had with Irenic here. One of them.
I mean, I did. I was nothing but fucking.
I see. What the F again? Oh, and then okay, we were. Yeah, that was.
My duty to fucking keep a roof over their head and clothes on their backs and anything they wanted, they had. You know what I mean? They had a fucking 3-bedroom house with a gun house with a pool in Palm Desert, California. You know, so fuck. And that was
you did everything you can to hold it together.
Work, you know? So anyway, yeah, fuck. So yeah, I paid for like 2.5 houses in my career, and I live in a camper now. That tells you anything.
Probably what I should do. I should downgrade. Well, I mean, I rent a garage, which it's a good arrangement. But I've been like struggling to try to get into my own apartment for quite a while. I've never lived as a bachelor really. I've always had roommates or a woman. So
my son finally left California last year. I was in Michigan at the time, and so anyways, him and his girl, they're not married, but he's got a woman and a kid. So, but it was just so terrifically expensive for rent. Or that's what's their problem mostly. Just the high cost of living, man. It's great.
So I mean, 2.5 hours. So essentially, Irenic's gone through 3 houses. In his at his age, and he's living in a camper. That's a station, right? So, I mean, not to say that that doesn't necessarily like invalidate anything he says, but for people who claim to come from place of wisdom, I guess wisdom just comes with experience, right? But then, like, what have they actually accomplished? Is this somebody that I should be taking advice from, right? So you just ask yourself that. Look at those, whatever factors.
For a young couple.
Yeah, it's not getting any better.
And plus, his biggest was she stopped working. She suffers under depression. So I don't know, whatever. They're two former addicts that got together. Great.
Oh yeah, it's always a great mix.
Great future.
Yeah, and I live in a garage. Should you take advice from me?
That's where I'm trying to meet my next woman in recovery.
Exactly. Like, and I kind of figured out, like, if because I'm looking, I like married life. Like I like being with a good woman, or when things are great. It's nothing like being in a relationship. I mean, is it? I mean, when there's trust and love and just fun and goodness and people looking out for each other and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's life is better shape.
It does feel like looking at two different people, like versus some of the banter that's going on in the conversation we were just watching, compared to he and I here, right? I mean, it's almost like you're talking to two different people, from my view.
Yeah, it's funny. I even remember the bad times fondly. Like I will laugh about the fact that my most recent ex, she bit me, she beat me, she tried to run me over with a vehicle on multiple occasions. And now I just look back and I laugh on those stories. But it was like I was a jerk.
That's funny. That's funny. As soon as you brought that up, I looked at my thumb because she bit my thumb so hard one time. This woman, my latest act, my second. Oh my God, I can still feel. I can laugh at it. It's like, oh my God, but I wasn't laughing then. But I would never strike anyone, but she came close that time. But yeah, and then like my favorite Yamaha guitar, man, she fucking picked that up one night by the neck and whacked it against the door frame, and she went to whack it again.
No.
And, she got one whack on it before I could grab it out of her hands. She got arrested. She actually got arrested for domestic abuse at the end. Not too long before we got divorced, actually. But
yeah, that's crazy. I've never had, in all my craziness, I've never had a woman try to mess with my instruments. I mean, that was the one thing that they're just off limits, I guess. And I did have a theory. I think my most recent ex still had my lyrics when she died, and she kind of alluded to. She was like, "Oh, I think I found some of them." I was like, "Well, they were all together. We thought we had lost them when we were homeless together." But I had this theory that she had like stored them somewhere. You know what I mean? To like have for leverage. Yeah, but yeah, they never went after that. But yeah, my daughter's mom, that was how I ended up with custody of my older daughters. Was when we split up, the last night she was there, she went to jail because she pulled a knife on me. She tried to stab me, and yeah, she was blacked out. But I just went, you know what, that's enough. Like if you pull a knife on me, while I'm holding our baby, like you're out of it. Right.
And you probably already had some experience with the other kids at that point, so I mean, you didn't mind taking advantage of the fact that she just did that in order to help you get custody. I'm not.
Oh no, that was when at that point that was before I had that was when we had our oldest, and her older sons were with us as well. But we that's when we found out after when she was in jail was when we found out she was pregnant with the twins. So we didn't even know we were having more kids together at that point. So this was my firstborn,
okay.
and that was when
this is early on.
well, yeah, but it was like it was 3 years. It was 3 years into it because I had moved out with her, gone through the pregnancy. Our baby is like a year and a half old now.
Some deep ape lore right here.
And this was when I realized how big of a mistake I had made. It was like it's come to this. It's like
Right. But
you trashed my dad's house and pulled a knife on me.
This was before any drug rehab or anything like that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to get the picture of.
Oh yeah, this was
early on in your first relationship.
Yeah, no, I was 21 at that time.
Oh, hey, Hiller's emails. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't think Irenic is here now. No, this conversation's from like a year ago or something.
So yeah. So.
Man,
I wasn't using drugs at that point.
I remember when my firstborn was born, man. That was the best feeling, man.
As a matter of fact, I'm not sure. Irenic may have been on this channel like a long time ago, but I can't say for sure. I don't think I've seen him in my. I mean, definitely not recently at all.
I mean, I can, I can.
No, I have. I went over to his channel a couple times, but yeah, I don't. So this is. I'm looking at a couple of things, just kind of a contrast of his character, especially like it dealing with me in this engagement versus the way he deals with some other people on this other stream. So
I can still see the hospital room, hold him, and his little cap. He had a full head of hair, and he's the cutest. He has a Syrian first, so.
But also, I enjoyed, as I was telling the guy today, I enjoyed just like getting to know people and trying to understand their experience without judgment. And so I try to do that a bit. And so it's kind of hard to, it's like this guy earlier. It's like, well, yeah, at the one point, I'm interested in like debating your views on abortion. And then I'm interested in understanding how you reconcile like the reincarnation into your, Christian worldview or whatever. And all of that, but it's kind of hard to do both because that would make some snarky comment about why you don't why is abortion immoral if the babies just get reincarnated,
like, just the cutest little thing. He had a little birthmark patch of blonde hair on his back of his brown hair. He had brown hair, but it looked like blonde hair. So cute. I mean, it was just it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, the first time definitely was. I wasn't able to be there for the twins, but I was there.
Hey. Oh yeah, it's good to empathize. Good evening, Christian Carpenter.
For my oldest, that was a natural birth, and then my youngest was a C-section, which was pretty scary because that was like an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
But when me and my oldest were just super close, like because her mom had a drink.
There's an email that says because they have one fewer playthrough in the game of life. Yeah, it could be one reason. Yeah.
Problem at the time I didn't, so I would end up feeding her a lot of the time, and she would lay on my chest, and so we were very very close for the first few years. That was what's really devastating about it, because I was, I did my job and mom's job.
Yeah. Well, that's she's not able to forget that. At some point those memories are there. I'm sure.
I hope so.
It's just time heals these things. That's what, or they don't. But
yeah.
At least time makes things more bearable regardless of what happens. I think that's been my experience. I mean, the hurts, at least they dull over time, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figure. Over the years, I mean, it still hurts, but I've gotten used to the fact that I probably won't get to have a relationship with them again for some time. Like, and oh, you got William Freeman in your side chat. What's up, William?
Well, he can come in. Yeah. I had a thought.
I don't believe Will does come in on this one. Don't honestly recall.
Oh, we just adapt to these things, right? Like at some point it's out of your control. It's all you can do.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. Yeah. That and that being the case, I mean, I think it's helpful. Like whatever chances you do have, at least in the sense where you can look at yourself in the mirror, you make an effort. You throw out the effort. And so they're in a position where they know they can, if you ever feel different, I'm here for you. If as long as that's about all you can do sometimes, right? It's just try to get that kind of message out there. I'm here for you if you ever change your mind.
Oh yeah,
I'm really
that's the
sorry
only reason
about
I've kept my
that.
phone number for like I've kept my phone number for like 10 years now, just
Yeah,
for that
I can
reason.
see that.
I don't-
Yeah, you don't want to change that because they have your number, right? And if you change
Yeah.
it, they wouldn't have it. I gotcha. Interesting. What's William saying? I'm not paying attention.
Oh, he just said, "What's up, nuts?" I think he bounced away. I said hi.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow
Well, he
time
was
of the
a
week,
freak.
a late night on a Sunday night.
Yeah, actually, there was a bunch of
Go to work. I
streams
don't know.
dropping tonight unexpectedly. I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of a sudden we had Ace was on, Brojo was on, now Flow State's on. And it's just been back to back actually. I'm in a lot of feeds, so I don't know about I don't know about how many you're up to.
I'm wondering if, I don't know, not Flow State, but yeah. I have enough just to, when I was in
Christian Carpenter says, I got covered in grease today at work. I've taken 2 showers and still smell like axle grease. That's unfortunate. Damn, that's a job hazard right there. Sorry to hear that. Like a slippery situation.
more, I was just, you can just spend all day, all of the working day in one of those fucking hangouts, man. It's like, not getting anything done.
I remember when I was doing day labor before I got into the industry I'm in now. I was doing day labor for a bit, and I was working at this home improvement warehouse. I was working out in the yards. It was the outer portion, so I'd spend all day outside. Basically like stacking, lumber or piping or sat concrete or whatever, stuff into the people's trucks. And at the end of the day, you'd be covered in sweat, and then all the materials, pieces of, wood, splinters and sawdust and powdered concrete all over you. It's just it's all caked onto you with your own sweat. And that's one of the reasons I got into the industry I'm in. I was like, man, I never want to, bust my ass like that, especially for the money I was making. It was peanuts compared to what I make now.
It's hard on a retiree that doesn't have to do nothing.
I've been I started working graveyard shift a couple months ago, and so I've been doing these overnight hangouts. I've done a couple 8-hour, 10-hour streams.
But if it's worth it for you, if you're making good money and it's fulfilling for you, then I don't know, maybe it could just be one of those things. Get another shower.
Okay.
Interesting too.
Yeah, I've done all that. You should. Something happened. I'm hearing myself. And there's a big hall. Yeah, I don't know. You might want to refresh this time. I don't know. I'm assuming you can hear me, but we used
No,
to
it's just
have
because I had to change my headphones. So.
Oh, good. We used to have these marathon hangouts back in the day on Google Plus. Were you doing G Plus back in the day?
No, I never really got into that. I was a little late for that.
Yeah, back in I wasn't doing that till 2015 probably, but most of these fools were maybe 5-year veterans or something at that point, and they had these. It was just G Plus was a monster. It was such a fucking eye-opening experience for me, coming into such a kaleidoscope of people for the first time in my life, of every viewpoint imaginable. There would be people out there defending this view or arguing over this and that. It was fucking amazing.
No, yeah, I get to see all the nostalgia.
Yeah, and it sounds like a cool thing to be a part of because, at the time, a lot of the people that we know of now who are in the G Plus circuit, from what I've heard, right, there were no restrictions. They're completely unfiltered. So the people who would have crazy racist outbursts and stuff, got exposed early on that way. And now they can't do that because of terms of service and YouTube and all of that, right? So it's probably a fascinating time to be in these circles.
And these fools would talk about these where, it would be 24-hour hangouts in Nadia's room. It's like, who the fuck is Nadia? And it's like, she was just this, or else he, whatever, transvestite, but she would hold these, she would host these hangouts, and you could get 10 people in there, and it was weird rules. You know, people could.
I think there he just referred to a transgender person as a transvestite. Pretty sure.
Could block each other, and all kinds of shenanigans could go on, and did, and it was basically, it was like the Wild West, because I mean there wasn't no censorship or anything like that going on. You know, none of that political bullshit. There's none of the woke shit was really happening. Not that much. You know, very little. You know, the real woke like what we have today. Anyways, it was like
none of the wokeness. See, there we go. We get about that far, and the conversation starts to steer this way, I suppose.
I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store, man. I don't know, because I was just because I so love debate, you know, and arguing. You know, I'm like, you know, not to argue like heatedly, but you know, like dinner table.
Christian Carpenter says this new gig I've been doing is super dirty, and yeah, I've been making killer money for around here anyway. Oh, good. Yeah, as long as it's, you know, the what was I going to say? Like it's worth, you know, your effort. There's a euphemism or something for that, but
arguments, yeah.
Right, yeah. That's what I always tell people on the channel. It's like everything you don't want to talk about at the dinner table, bring it here, you know. Politics, religion, sex, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I was, you know, Brojo's is a good venue for, I mean, I don't know, I like venues like that where, you know, different religious views are welcome to express themselves, you know, and then people fucking, you know, debate or chide or mock or whatever they do, you know, back and forth.
Now, what I don't say here is that model did backfire on me. Like, for instance, I hosted a debate a while back. Essentially, it was a eugenics debate. And I did not account for all the variables of that stream. It was replicated on another channel. And, you know, one of those people ended up getting trolled off of Twitter, I believe. And the other person quit YouTube streaming. So, and, you know, I accept some responsibility for that happening. You know, I didn't think it all the way through, I guess, you know.
So, but it's you know, if you are a real seeker of truth, which I claim to be, and all I care about is what's true, you know, those are good exercise. Like you know, man, it's so profitable to have to defend yourself and argue, you know, because I don't, you know, and expose yourself to a large critical voice, you know, a large amount of critical voices, right? And it's going to help. It should, you know, for most people, I think, that are honest, it's going to help them get to a better place, or some kind of a place that's more defendable or defensible, I think is the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Either like one, just they learn better ways to argue for their position, they change their position, or they just say, hey, this is just what I believe, and I can't prove it to you, right? Like you get like.
I mean, well, usually what they're going to find is like a you know, some fucking contradiction is going to get smacked in their face that they never saw before, and then like this is the kind of thing where if someone actually puts a chink in your belief system, that's all, you know, they've done their job. Most people can't like function with a chink, you know. They got to, like, you know what I mean, at some point you got to deal with it once like, because I feel people don't believe false things on purpose, you know. I mean, I think you tend to believe what you think is true. Yeah, in other words, I don't think you maybe choose to believe things as much as things evidence themselves as true, and that's why you think they're true. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like what works for you moving through life, right? It's like if you for people who grow up in the church and, you know, they've known those people for years, I think, you know, it can be easy to grow attached to that and say, well, you know, I believe it because I was raised with it and it's always worked for me, right? They have that community backing. So even if you have somebody just throw a chink in the belief system, it's like that doesn't necessarily shatter the whole thing because you have all this reinforcement. But people who don't have all that reinforcement and who aren't brought up that way, which is kind of my position, you know, tend to be fragile in that way. And so there are like these tipping points where it's like, okay, I could lean into this, like being you know, a religion or you know, cultism of some kind. And the only thing kind of holding you back is skepticism, right? It's not it's not a counter argument, right? Because then you're still caught in the middle because you don't affirm either point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's why
I think it's real healthy to be skeptical. Go ahead. I mean, that's one thing I've learned. I mean, it took me a while to learn to be more skeptical, but I always did have I always had a skeptical nature, in the sense that from early on, people were telling me, you know, and I can remember it's the same me. I remember them telling me, and where I thought I was, well, I'm losing my train of thought here, but it has to do with just the authority. Like I always had, you know, people telling me to do something that I didn't necessarily want to do, and I didn't see why I had to be told to do it, and I didn't like it, like, and 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 it's kind of like, if you really don't like that authority, and so early on I just came to not like authority, or even like there was a natural distrust, because I felt like they were unwarrantedly, putting me in a prison, let's say, right? I'm getting jailed. I'm always like, obviously I'm a little kid, right? You got to train up a kid, but still I'm always like, why, why can't I do that? Or why am I, you know, why am I
Yeah,
being
I
punished?
think
Why am I
kids are
being
naturally
violent?
inquisitive that way, and that's why. I still consider myself anti-authoritarian, in that if we're going to tell somebody, believe this, or do this, right, then we should be able to indicate the reason, and be able to articulate. If we can't do that, then we've got a weak reason for telling them what to do or what to believe,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I never was one on telling my kids what to believe. I was always more about what to do, And
Yeah.
then I would always I'm about, like, I'm a Christian, right? But I don't hold to this idea of unreasonable faith, or faith, or believing that's not based on reality or something. No,
Right.
I believe in Christianity because it makes the most
If faith is a belief in a thing without sufficient evidence, right? Without sufficient reason. That's what you.
sense of the world that I inhabit. That's how I see it. Like, all the evidence that I see and that I've experienced, because I've had what you might call spiritual experiences, or what I mean? Like, I've had those kind of experiences, and I really believe, I have a relationship with God that is like as real as I have, God, I can't see him, but I know he's there, just like I know my mother is there. That's how strongly I've experienced it. So I can't, and none of that has to do with anything the Bible says, really, except that I take the Bible as just stories of other people that had experiences like I have, some, or probably more extreme than what I'm talking about. I'm not claiming any super duper really experience, but
I wonder if I'm going to press on this at all, but he's said, like, saying that he thinks the Bible is a collection of stories of spiritual experiences. Right, so not necessarily average experiences, I guess, which is an interesting way of framing it, actually.
very personal and real. And
Were
I
you brought
can't
up in the church?
I was raised in a Christian home, but I had a lot of it, but I still had all those objections. Well, from early on, even before I remember being raised, or even noticing what kind of home I was in, I did. Somehow I believed in God. I believed that God exists. I remember being in first, or even before first grade, having this argument in my head about the fact that if the world exists, that means that either God existed or the world's always existed. And it immediately struck me that it didn't make sense that the world always existed. It must be that God exists. Yeah, I mean, that was a that was a thought in my head. That was just. And I remember, like, at that age, even praying to God. But I was never coached to do that, or I was never even exposed that many years in any kind of Christianity that I recognized. I definitely recognized it when I was older and was told to go to church and hated getting up in the morning and all that stuff. On Sunday, when I could.
I don't think I'm going to acknowledge this right here, but I did used to pray a lot as a young person, which is one of the things that turned me away from belief, because I wasn't satisfied that prayer was doing anything in my life.
Stay home and watch cartoons or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyways,
for me, like, my household was pretty much like agnostic growing up, and so I remember hearing things, from members
Like,
of
they'd
the
say
family.
"God damn it" once in a while, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'd say things like that, or I just had an example too of, like, and I lost it. I have an aunt who's very spiritual.
Jesus
so...
Christ, pull your pants up. No, it's like.
Oh yeah, okay. No, other things like that. Like, when I would ask about my grandfather, 'cause my grandfather passed before I was born, she would say, "Oh, well, he is with God." Instead of saying he passed away, she'd say he's with God now. And what does that mean? Oh, well, he died, but he's alive somewhere else. And so all these ideas were kind of implanted in me. But when I asked my mom, I was raised by a single mother, what religion she believed in, she said, "I don't know." And she said, "You should learn for yourself." And so she she bought me a bunch of books, but there was nobody telling me. But there were all these kind of seeds being planted around me. Oh, well, God's doing this, and So when I came of the age that I was, like, exploring for myself, I had this respect for all religions. So I was very against blasphemy. I remember, telling other kids not to take the Lord's name in vain, even though I didn't identify as a Christian. I just, thought, well, just respect people's God beliefs for a long time.
Oh, that's interesting. Man, I never thought of others' beliefs that way, like, to care about that, not offending them. But I wasn't that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just pointing out you have a certain sensitivity about you that I don't have. Go ahead.
Well, I did until people
past tense.
told me I was going to hell for not being a Christian. Then I got defensive,
What wouldn't God like about me? Come on, you guys. What are you saying?
And it's like at that point, it's like, okay, because I'm among the Abrahamic faith. Do I think I'm a Christian? Do I think I'm a Catholic? All of this different denominational stuff. But I had been exposed to Buddhism and other things like that. So then I'm like, okay, so now I have to wrestle with the idea that maybe there's multiple gods, or different people in different places have different understanding of God.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is one of the most helpful things to me, was referring back to this G+ period where you get exposed to a lot of views and a lot of debate, and and it helped me to come to I don't know, one thing about listening to all these debates, you get to, you do come to learn how to debate, and how to more importantly, you learn how to structure your statements in ways that are different, and ways that are important, that I don't know, frame an issue to keep yourself from overstating a fact, if that makes sense. Because I don't, I have
some lists I can relate. Yeah.
I can't remember the last time anyone was able to refute any point I've made, and it's only because it's not because I'm.
He's gonna say it's not because he's arrogant, but that is an arrogant statement to say that nobody's refuted the point that you made. They could refute it, and you would say that it's not, it's not a good counter argument, but they've still provided a counter. And then I would say, just judging by, I know the circles that Irenic's been involved in, I'm sure, he's had powerful counter arguments made against him and just refuses to acknowledge them, but, that's the problem with believers like that. And you have other examples like Darth Dawkins, people that proclaim that they win every debate, and their logic is undefeatable. And it seems that the vast majority of people do not agree with them. So one would think that it's not really on you to judge. Like that's your safeguard to keep a bad belief, right? To say, no, I won. You guys are all wrong, right? To proclaim that you are the, like the sole genius in a sea of folks who are thinking about the same things. I don't know. It boggles the mind.
Smart or make great points. It's more that I'm very careful not to make any points that I can't back up. Like, does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So there's a certain humility actually behind my the way I'm approaching things here. It's just that, but not that I don't think I can make strong defenses of what I believe and stuff. And I think Christians make the best arguments for what kind of worldview actually is out there.
I think Pine Creek almost has like exactly the same approach. When he comes in, he's like, no, I have, whatever this particular argument is. And I believe that the way that I've structured my argument is so airtight. Nobody could ever, poke a hole in it. But it means that if somebody actually does poke a hole in the argument, you don't acknowledge that that's just happened. Because in your mind, you're creating a fiction, right? Like that seals that.
All my claim is that what I believe comports with the reality that I live in, in this world I walk around in. I think how I read the biblical account, and that's a totally subjective thing, how I read it, right? How I understand it. The Bible, in my view, doesn't say anything. Every word is interpreted, in some way, shape, or through the, filter of someone's brain, neurons firing and all this stuff, you got to consider. So, all I'm saying is it's up to us. We have to figure it out. If it's able to be figured out, which is an open question, it's still a subjective thing. To what does this book represent, And so, anyway,
Okay, so the Bible is, a subjective thing. It's open to interpretation, man. I think we could jive on that.
Spirit, and that doesn't make sense.
Yes, because of their love that they have for God.
Head on, put it right on the forehead.
David. Oh, let's.
We went back to when Irenic's camera was frozen there.
I don't know yet, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy or girl or binary?
It is.
Dang,
I actually do
That's
not
harsh.
know.
it's still fluid in there, I guess.
Fluid.
Hey, Irenic.
Baby.
Irenic. Hey, Irenic. Can you do me a favor and please play that clip there in private chat? Just want to prove a point.
I'm gonna leave and see if Brojo comes in, and then I'm gonna come back.
Okay.
Don't tell him I'm setting them up.
Hey, wait. Stick around for this clip. Do you like it?
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna be listening.
It's okay. It's only like a minute long.
1 second.
It's visual as well.
Still get in there. Is it married?
Yeah,
Right.
that's the one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'll enlarge it. And am I sharing it yet? It's shared,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Good
Morning, sir. I'm the census taker. Are you married or
Shit.
Oh, man, I didn't finish. She writes down married. That's not good.
Okay, I gotta do that.
Morning, sir. I'm the census taker. Are you married or happy?
Was that his wife that threw that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, his wife
No,
threw
it's his
that.
mother.
Oh, his mother.
Pretty good. That is pretty good.
No, he writes down married. He was married.
And that was his wife.
Oh,
Then.
Yeah, that was wife.
Shit, fucking
Married
Three
or happy.
Stooges, man.
You can
Man.
be, vote
That
sometime.
motherfucker, that took me back. That shit never get.
You brought it up earlier, Victor. It's that Robert Palmer song. We were talking about Victim of Love.
Oh, addicted to
Oh,
love?
Victim. Yeah, I can never hit that chord.
Oh, see, the trumpet was cool. Trombone, that wasn't cool.
I don't know. It was all right. It's better than the fucking tuba.
Cool in high school, yeah.
Tuba was cooler than the trombone.
Were you like assigned the trombone?
Yeah, because I had big lips.
Figures. You do all that shit off.
He assigned all the black.
Did you just say niggers?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What's his name? David
The
too?
whole trombone section was black. Did you notice that?
Oh man, I wanted to
They
play.
couldn't
Like,
play for shit, but they sure had the lips for it.
I played a little bit of the alto saxophone. I wanted to play tenor, but I couldn't. I had the mouthpiece. I only had one mouthpiece, and it didn't fit the alto, the tenor sax. So I
Yeah,
stole
we
it.
were something. Yeah.
You could play the tuba and the trombone at the same time. Good God.
The tuba and the trombone. No, I think the tuba mouthpiece is bigger, much bigger. So you can't use the same mouthpiece. Those mouthpieces were
So
expensive.
St. Tommy, did you ever play a horn instrument in school?
No, I played the clarinet a little bit.
Oh, okay. When?
And the trombone is like
I like
it's
that.
like a slide. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, in my school, right? I went to a mixed school.
No.
So the first day of school, the principal in the auditorium, the entire school was there. This is middle school, right? So it's 7th and 8th graders, and he said everyone who wants to be in the band, go to the left side of the auditorium. Everybody who wants to be in the choir, go to the right side of the auditorium. Where do you think all the black females went?
The choir.
To the choir. Where did all the white male and females go? Where did they go?
Well,
Some went to the choir, but most of them went to the band, right? And then you had
And
your Asians and your.
and what
Right,
would
what do
most
you
of the
think
black
all the-
guys do?
what do you
I would
think-
think
what do you think
they'd be
the
over
black
with the women, the black
Nope.
women.
Nope.
No, they went
They
with the.
stayed in their seat.
Oh, they say okay.
True story.
Well, that's
That's
where
a
I would
true
have stayed.
story.
I would have gone on the choir side because I like to sing anyway.
Yeah, true story.
But so you brothers don't sing in church? All the women are singing?
I used to be in the choir when I was a kid.
I don't know when I grew up. We went to church all the time. Growing up. We always sang. Like it was so funny. There was a time we were visiting lots of churches because my dad was like, whatever, he'd go preach at different places, and there'd be times where we'd be the only ones singing. Just it was a lot of people because it was 6 of us. But in a little.
Wait, did he just say here that his dad would preach? Because I feel like he kind of downplayed that when I was talking to him. He was like, "Well, yeah, I was never raised in
All
the
the women are
church."
singing.
I used to be in the choir when I was a kid.
I don't know when I grew up. We went to church all the time. Growing up. We always sang. Like it was so funny. There was a time we were visiting lots of churches because my dad was like, whatever, he'd go preach at different places, and there'd be times where we'd be the
Yeah, he did. He says dad would go preach at different places. So that's kind of like, I feel like that was very much, the story he told me was like, oh yeah, kind of we went to church. He never said his dad was a preacher.
we'd be the only ones singing. Just it was a lot of people because it was 6 of us, but in a little church or something. But it was awkward sometimes too. Because
Who left?
I don't know. It's weird that
Say
Saint
T left the room.
Oh, St. Tommy. That wasn't graceful.
Saint Tommy has left the building.
To leave
Avoid
without
blaming
saying
thy
bye.
sibling for thy own aversion. Least one weep with empathy. Mama.
You
That's
weren't
Saint
showing
Tommy's
any.
quote.
You weren't showing us any grace, Tommy.
Exodus. Out of Babylon. Babylon bad, you know.
Oh,
Easy now, take easy. Babylon to roll. Easy now, take easy now. Babylon to roll.
I was gonna say, have you remember that song you played for me, and that it wasn't live or anything, but that thing you put together.
Oh, the song I made up.
About the coming out of the ground or whatever.
Oh, you want to hear it? Oh, yeah. I still haven't wrote it down yet. It's still in my head.
All right. Well, if you can remember it.
You want me to play that shit? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this song?
Is the guitar coming through all right?
Yeah, I think so.
See if I can remember.
I'm gonna mute.
Saints' word could never be sold. God's word could never be told. Losing your grip is getting cold. How's it feel to be so damn bold? How's it feel to be so damn bold? I'll be underground. Don't tell me what you found. Nothing good could ever be heard. Shift the poles and flip the bird. Shift the poles and flip the bird. Way over here, my soul runs free. Over here, my soul runs free. Forever under cold kisses, I will be. Forever under cold kisses, I will be. Pass me by, world, pass me by. Please don't brag, drag, or cry. Under my lid, I did scribe. Oh, ain't it fun when you die? Ain't it fun when you die? Over here, my soul runs free. Over here, my soul runs free. Forever in the cold kisses, I will be. Forever in the cold kisses, I will be. I remembered it. It's been like a week.
Yeah, you should make sure you get that down. Yeah,
That was pretty good.
I like it. I
Yeah,
really
that
like
was
the melody.
nice,
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
See how this one goes.
Trying to I was trying to get hold of this Wild Heart video, but trying to get this guy's mods, and I don't know how to do that.
Oh yeah, you have to go to the YouTube stream. You can't do it from the StreamYard chat.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Thanks. Your channel. I always have trouble with this for some reason. I can't pull my when I try to. I guess it's working this time. Okay, let's see. Just waiting for the comments to load. So what's up?
Yeah,
What are you?
actually, on the same note, like right now, I'm waiting on a call back from my doctor's office because I called them today about potentially getting back into outpatient. So yeah, glad to hear Wild Heart's been sober. That's good.
Yeah, right.
I'm proud because they're calling me back.
I wonder if a standard moderator is that all you need, or you need a managing moderator?
No, standard will do.
Standard is fine for sharing links and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Spooky. I don't know if you got a link. Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, did you happen to hear the stream or no?
No, I didn't see it either, but I was sleeping pretty well through this morning. So
yeah, I don't even know what his channel is anymore.
yeah, I don't know if he's using the old one because he had the copyright troubles on there, so he was using other people's StreamYard accounts, and then he got booted from that.
Right.
So.
Right, that like Plastic Jesus. I think it was one of those that had it. Yeah, he was messing around. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, jeez. It's it's hard to watch somebody's life just waste away, in front of you over the a couple of years or whatever. It's good to see him maybe get some sense. I hope anyway.
I know. I went to rehab for a couple months last year, so like kind of right there in the same boat,
Okay, what is it alcohol or something else?
Yeah, mainly alcohol.
Yeah, I had a son that had, I've been through all that. Yeah,
I feel like we've had this conversation
heroin
before.
or addiction. Eventually. I mean, it was just everything. I mean, there was hardly anything he wasn't doing, probably. But,
yeah, I kind of think,
we
but
were
luckily, but other than that, like I sometimes just do whatever's on the table, meth and crack and all that shit,
So, how long have you been sober?
Oh, right now I'm just like working day by day. You know, I've still got like a recovery mindset, but yeah, I'm just struggling like just to kind of maintain functionality right now, which is why I probably just need to go back into treatment. I was trying to do these like online meetings and stuff like that, and it just hasn't been working out. So.
Right. Okay, I got you. So you're at least aware of the issue and trying to control it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I did 12 step. You know, I was an Al-Anon and stuff before I ever used or drank. You know, so I kind of already knew the stuff, but I just, you know, it didn't take. And you know, I'm a rebellious character, so I like to push the limits. You know, so take responsibility for that.
Spooky bed hair. Love spooky bed hair over here. Bedharians unite.
Okay, 1 second here. I got the video up now. Thank you, Spooky. Oops. Okay, I'm just gonna share this. All right.
You are live.
Can you hear all right?
Hello. Yeah, just a little update. Yeah.
It is sad because I woke up today. I was listening to Brojo's stream, Brojo's Sunday Hangout tonight, and I took a little nap. And so I was taking the nap. You know, I had Brojo's stream playing, and then when I woke up from that nap, fortunately, Wildheart was getting his ass chewed out again for being a bit obnoxious. So I kind of felt bad about that. But anyway,
I've been very ill the last couple of weeks, so I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm still alive. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I had a liver scan, and it's not good. No, it's going to be fine. But yeah,
he had a liver scan. In case I talked over that, you guys.
2.5 weeks since the liver scan because it was quite bad. So it's just a short update to let everyone know that I'm alive, and hopefully I'll be back real soon. I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Talking to you all as usual. Thanks a lot.
That's quick. It looks yeah, it looks all right, I'd say.
Yeah, short and sweet. Dude, it was hard. Like the first, well, I mean, I had like pretty massive anxiety like when I first went into detox, and I did a few live streams last year, and then I was like, I didn't have my phone when I went into residential treatment for the first week, and so when I came back, like it was really nerve-wracking to try and get back online again and kind of explain my situation, like because all my senses were just starting to come back to me, and yeah, I was really self-conscious about everything, you know.
Right. Well, I thought generally they like you to go into treatment, don't they, after detox, or into some kind of.
Well, yeah, they try to push for it. It's not. I mean, it's not required. Like my plan was to go in there and dry out for a week and then go back to work. But they convinced me while I was in there to go through 30 days, and then I ended up staying for 60. So.
Oh wow. Well, as long as you can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily my insurance is good for that over here. So.
And is your work involved?
Yeah, well,
yeah. Like, do you have to leave a job or?
Yeah. But in California, it's a medical condition, so they have to give you reasonable accommodations for medical conditions. So.
Right. What part of Cali you live in?
I'm in the Richmond area near San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you're not southern. You're not Southern Cal.
No, North Cali.
I had a good friend that lived in Santa Cruz. He lives in Temecula now, but I used to see him up there.
Love of my life lives in Santa Cruz.
I like the area. I love that area. I mean, I used to love San Francisco, man. Before all the homeless and everything. Pretty cool place.
Yeah.
I was married to a friend, and she'd have overnights there. So, like, we'd always just, I'd go along with her, and we'd have dinner at a nice restaurant or something. But so it was limited my exposure. But
yeah, it's still got its charms. But I mean, there's a lot of issues to work out here.
I found it this was like 20 years ago, but to me, it was a lot like New York City, only a lot cleaner. It had that, I don't know, sort of a similar vibe, but like an international city, I guess.
I've only been to New York once when I was really young, so I don't remember it at all. But I always hear those comparisons. But I still think we have the better weather, for sure. So.
Oh yeah. No, I love, man. I grew up in Michigan, and when I was 24, I moved to California, and so I don't know, I spent many years there, and I just fell in love with the place, man. I ended up in the desert though, Palm Springs area, so, and that was in the 80s, I mean, it was a whole different place. Yeah. Anyway, California.
I feel like the only place you can find like reasonably affordable housing is like Death Valley, you know.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Like just north of Palm Springs, there's Morongo Valley. It's just a little place, you know. I don't know. It's just
Sorry, I was trying to check the time.
There's little pockets of places that maybe you could find, you know, find someplace affordable. But my son just moved from there back to Michigan last year. Just if it's the price, the cost of housing.
Hey, Halsey, good to see you. This is a weird time in my life right now.
Just killing him. But he was in he was around May.
I thought this was live. No, these conversations took place about a year ago, and then I have another stream that I had saved for this occasion. So we're in Irenic lore right now. So I had these conversations on with Irenic on his channel because we had pretty bitter relationship in the past, and I was trying to use a different tactic in the conversation, which I mean appears to be working so far, I guess. People were asking about Irenic earlier. Glad to see he's still kicking about. Yeah, he's still streaming. I think I spoke to him once after this, but I just didn't save it. It wasn't substantive. But yeah, I've seen him get name dropped in the community recently. So I've been talking about this actually for a while. I've been saving these videos. Like I said, this is like a year ago. So
he worked in Malibu, so yeah, I don't know. He had to stay relatively.
Yeah, he does. He has a way of pissing people off, and as he brought up in the video, part of the reason we're looking at this is because he talked about the way he does that. He tries to intentionally see how he can trigger people in these streams.
I mean, he was just in an expensive area. He actually does
I don't know.
counseling for people.
Oh, nice.
He
Yeah,
got into doing. Yeah. He's pretty good with clients. He's got a real. I mean, I don't know. He's a talker, and he knows his shit. I guess he knows what. Anyway, it's not unhelpful to have had that experience, and then those are the kind of people you're helping with. Because all the bullshit and everything. You're right. It's like.
Yeah, you got to be able to actually relate to the person. Otherwise, you're not really going to trust them. In my opinion,
Yeah, he gets way too personal sometimes. What I found. Yeah, so it's like in these conversations, actually, I was kind of oversharing a bit too. And one of the things in hindsight I was looking back at was the way he was talking about his son struggling with addiction and referred to him as a fuck up. So you kind of get to psychologize in the person a little bit. And I guess that's what we're doing right now. But in order to do that, you have to be a little bit vulnerable with somebody sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
It was like I stuck with my last AOD, even though we had issues with that, but I felt I could relate to him. He was down to earth enough. So I didn't want to go to another person despite our issues, But yeah, I've been there in rehab, and the dude's for 10 minutes telling me his weed stories from back in the day, surfing and smoking bud on the beach, and I'm just like, this is not helpful for me right now.
I lost my heart. I can't think of it. In San Francisco.
But yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'm not as well traveled as I should be at this point, and I'm thinking about just jumping ship and leaving state, just to go see what's out there. Find a job anywhere, right?
I mean,
got prospects.
If you don't have a job, it's not a bad time to or whatever. I mean, it's whatever. If you're not in a career kind of position, you can find anything. Somewhere.
Well, I'm state licensed. Other than that, I've just got I got a GED. I've just got a lot of work experience.
What's your license? What's your license in? What's the state license?
I'm a security guard.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, yeah. And I mean, a resume is, get a good, maybe, well, is it the kind of place that will give you a good recommendation letter or whatever? Have you been there
Yeah,
a while?
so far we're still on good terms. Yeah, I've been with this company for about a year and a half now. And I've been in the industry since
I
2017.
mean, come
so.
on. A security job has to be easy to pick up. I mean, it is easy as any job, I guess.
Yeah, it just depends. Like some states don't require licenses. I can just go in there with my experience, but other ones they're going to require me to just go take a similar test to the one I took here, but it's going to be like specific to the laws in that state.
Do they usually,
yeah.
do they usually not hire you until you get the license? Because I've had jobs
They can
kind of
do
thing where they
job
would hire you and give you time to get the license or something.
Yeah, they can do on-the-job training. I've had that with different companies. I mean, I went and so the course that I took for California, like right off the bat, I took a full 40-hour course before I even applied. So I was already like, but you don't have to do that. Like a lot of companies are able to train you while you work.
I bet not all states even require licensing, right?
Yeah, no, I think most states don't.
Yeah, because it's kind of unusual to hear that. It's funny there. I doubt it. I mean, you could know these people, but there was back in the Google G Plus days, there was this group of Calvinists that I would always argue,
So just for clarification, I think that might depend upon the contract. I think in order to take a federal contract, you have to have some type of licensing in the industry. I'm fairly certain that's the case. Yeah, the title. Yeah, I've been sitting on that one for a while. I like to play with the pop culture references over here. Pulp culture? Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
Debates with or whatever, but it was called the Council of Google Plus. They called themselves. And anyways, it's about, I don't know, man, probably 20 guys overall that was like in this one Discord group, and I would hang out with them and stuff. And I swear about 7 or 8 of those guys were all security guards. It was just almost like a thing within this group. It just is a kind of great job for a single person that maybe likes to study theology or get on Discord at night, or whatever, and kill time.
So I had a coworker of mine. I guess I can talk about it because technically he didn't actually work for my company. He wasn't a coworker, but a dude that I worked with several years ago. Well, a few years ago, whatever. Anyway, but he was with a different company. We just happened to be contracted at the same place. So struck up a conversation, and he started telling me about how he was, essentially like into conspiracy theories. He's a security guard, and that he was in kind of these circles. And initially, I thought it was cool, and then I kind of got paranoid about actually like trying to stream with the guy. Like I was like, I don't know, maybe this isn't the best idea. So I didn't contact him, but he gave me his info. He was really excited about it. Like it probably would have been fun. But he was totally into like, kind of like the stuff we're looking at, not so long ago, like, like the moon landing was faked and stuff like that. So yeah, interesting people in the industry. And I had another guy I've talked about on the channel before. When I first started streaming, we were talking about doing an interview that never panned out, who was in security, and he was, I think like he was like a Hebrew Israelite. He was into that type of thing, and he had some wild things to say as well.
Spirit, and that doesn't make sense.
Yes, because of their love.
Just does not want to give me the right timestamp over here.
It's only like 3 chords, dude. It's like C, G, D, E minor. That's it.
So 3 chords?
4 chords.
See, it works out 3 and then a minor. Is it
E minor.
and D minor?
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the music, but we're not here for that. And so I let a little bit of it play, but
Don't know the. This place used to sell these up, right in
Oh yeah, right.
Music for a while.
If I can just with my pinky.
Walk upside the sea and share a bit of.
Where does the conversation?
Jesus Robinson, Jesus loves you. Well, maybe there's always been that. Yeah, Fred Wynn or Grant.
Yeah, Fred Wynn. Yeah, Fred Wynn.
Here we go.
And then it's so funny. And then because and so he's out there on the porch, and he's pouring through these books, and then she comes out there, and I forget, she just says something like, you did say we're gonna get married if you win this case, right? Or I don't, whatever, she's like, she brings it up, that's
Yeah.
and then and he just goes through that litany of, I can't sleep. I got a guy. He's trying to, the guy with the bet, he's trying to punch him, challenge him to a fight every time about the money with the, I don't know if you remember from the pool playing at the, anyways.
I don't remember that part.
He said, I have said Irenic is at his best when he's playing music. Yeah.
It's been a while since.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bad in terms of that. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, it's really great, and because the guy ends up in a cast, like a full body cast after this sort of deal, and he tells him, "Hey, you got a lawyer?" Only it's this guy he's having this hassle with, It's like, but since he's showing up all as a body cast, he's like, "You got a lawyer?" Anyways, it's just hilarious. But he's naming off all this shit, like I got a judge that hates me. I got a suit. I mean, he's talking about.
I remember the suit part, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, and then he's like, especially then he gets it, and to top it off, your biological clock. Is there any other thing you could possibly add to the top of this case? He's like, and she goes, maybe it was a bad time, and then she walked back inside or some shit like that. It's so funny, but I think she got an Academy Award for that, or at least she was nominated. Yeah, that was.
When I watched that movie when I was a kid, teenager, I think that's when I first saw like Hollywood, because there ain't no fucking way a hot ass broad like Marissa Tomei is gonna get fucking together with fucking
that little Italian dude,
staunchy ass fucking face. What's his face? Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How much money has he got?
I was about to say that too about the whole money thing. A small, a lawyer who could hardly make it with a face like her, she get a lot further than that. But
well, I mean, like after 6 years,
he might have a big long tongue.
After 6 years, well, maybe, yeah, but after 6 years, somebody better didn't catch her eye and say, "Fuck you, dude, you loser."
I don't know. I think I've seen some odder couples than that. But...
Right? Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just
Maybe,
so hard.
It may have been in one a time or two.
Hot young broads.
What's that, Sammy?
I said maybe she hasn't found someone with a longer tongue yet.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe can breathe through his ears.
Yeah, well, maybe money isn't everything, I mean, she was hanging in with him for a long time. Another movie I like, one of my favorites is As Good as It Gets. That's one of my top 5.
I've seen that once. Oh, all right.
I reckon when a young hot chick gets with an old dude like that, she's got daddy issues. She's looking for a daddy replacement.
Yeah.
Depending
on how hot
I mean, if it's not his money, what the fuck has that guy got going for it? Honestly, I'm with you, Irenic.
Well, I would say it depends on. It depends on maybe. Oh yeah, well that's true. But it depends. Sometimes it might depend on.
Maybe he hasn't beat her, and she comes from a world of men always beating other women, and she found one that beat the crap out of her, so she feels safe.
He could have groomed her for the last 10 years, fucking anything.
Right? His upstairs neighbor was fucking giving her gifts and candy since she was fucking 9 years old.
You guys
got it. Woody Allen married his fucking stepdaughter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It was 5 when he got with the mother.
Adopted daughter, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah. I don't know how he wasn't fucking charged with shit, because it was quite apparent that she'd have been going on longer than.
Well, he waited until she was of age to make it public.
Mm-hmm.
Like the minute she was legal, they're like in a full relationship. You're gonna tell me that just happened overnight?
Right.
Was it when she was 18? They came out as a couple? Was it that early? Or was
well,
it
I think from Mia Farrow said in an interview with somebody, she said that she noticed like something weird when I think the girl was about 15. I think she said, but it could have been before that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just not only has he groomed this child to then want to marry him, but he gets away with it.
Yeah, that's the sick part there.
Well, I was going to ask, is there such a thing maybe as women? I mean, and I'm not talking about like celebrities or anything like that, but I don't know, like could a woman have gone through a couple young guys, or guys like say a 30 or 35-year-old, 40-year-old woman who's maybe divorced twice, and out in the dating world, all she sees is these younger, guys her age are just the same. They're looking after this, and they're even worse than at least when she was 20, they were both starting out not knowing shit together. But now these fuckers are fucking. Anyways, is it possible that a woman would be like,
absolutely, absolutely,
I'd settle for somebody that's like older and just fucking settled and not fucking playing games. I don't give a fuck if he's just home every night.
There's a lot of.
Is that possible?
Absolutely, and I would say a large majority of women actually are like that. They prefer older men. which is fine because men aren't as mature as women either. I've always believed that, and I still do to this day. But there's some, it's one thing for a 30-year-old to date a 20-year-old, or a 35-year-old to date a 25-year-old, but for a 60-year-old to date like a 19-year-old, there's
I was going to say that too,
a definite power imbalance. See, these guys have a life experience that they can take advantage of these younger girls.
I mean, I think we
That's
can.
the only thing
I think
that I
most
can
people
see wrong.
recognize. I think most people recognize when the difference is maybe too much. Like I don't.
Yeah.
So I get you, but I don't think Okay, so what's too young for a 60-year-old?
I think it's like max 20 years younger.
I would say a 40-year-old shouldn't go any younger than 40 years old. A 60-year-old, like younger than 40,
exactly.
that's too young, dude. Like, come
20
on.
20 years is heaps.
Can't do a 45-year-old, 42, 43, something. Come on.
Dude, if I'm hitting 40-year-olds when I'm 60, I'll be a happy man.
Definitely, man.
Like, why would you 40-year-old women would know what the hell they're doing? You know what I mean? Have experience.
I would hope any man or woman at 40 knows what the fuck's going on by that time. Otherwise, I don't want to be with them. I don't think.
Yeah, there'd be a reason they got that far and had no experience.
Sammy, do you think there's any reason like two 60-year-olds, like or 60-ish, 50 to 60-ishes, should have long engagements before they hook up and decide to like?
Fuck no. Okay. I think at that age, fucking
like
2 months, 3 months, if you want to get married, get fucking married.
I'm like the clock's ticking, man. The clock's ticking, dude. I ain't gonna be around here forever.
Those days of fucking 2, 3, 4. Man, I was engaged for like 8 years, and we just never wanted to take the leap because we were happy. But I'm glad we didn't, because look, we didn't end up together, and that would have been divorce and all that bullshit. We just got to part ways, and we're amicable. We got kids together and shit, so we kind of got to be. But I would have hated having to go through all the legal bullshit and sign all my shit over. I mean, I left her anything anyway, but at least that was off my own back and not being forced to. Weird. I would have resisted had I been forced. Probably just on principle.
Being raised, I was raised more or less kind of fundamentalist Christian home, right? Baptist, like Southern Baptist fundamentalist. If I don't know if that tells you anything. And it wasn't like I don't know, but nothing. And if you have any idea of the these are those people they put a lot of focus on, marriage and divorce and homosexuality and so I don't know, maybe you pick up on some vibes of what God's idea about divorce is and things like that, depending on where kind of circles you've been raised in or whatever. Anyways, it's just the point is, when I got married, and I was married for 15 years, I was with a woman for like 18 years, and then we got married, and then for like 14 years, and then she while we were separated just by we were moving. I bought a house in California, so we moved the kids out early, and while I was buttoning things up in Michigan and working all these hours to pay for the house, she met some dude, she worked at Marriott, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I flew out there. She told me she wants to divorce, so I never get to live in the home. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, like you go through shit like that, and it's like, it gives you a reality check as like far as what role is God playing in this picture, if there is a God, things like that. So I just, the personal. This is why, like I always want to talk to a Calvinist after he's been through a divorce.
What role is God playing in this picture, if there is a God? And there it is, right there. Just kind of came out with it. Is Irenic deconstruct? Is he questioning his faith? Potentially.
And I want to ask him about what he thinks about the sovereignty of God and the fact that God determined that you would have a divorce. Because that's when it's real. That's when it's real. That's when it's real.
Yeah.
Or when they lost a kid in a tragedy, Yeah.
I was raised that there is one biblical reason for divorce, and that is infidelity. So even battered
I still believe
partners, right, are told that they can separate for their safety, but they can't divorce. They can't biblically remarry because their partner hasn't cheated on them. So I can't believe that an almighty, wise God would say to a victim of a horrid, violent person, you can get out of there, but you can't actually be happy and find someone who does genuinely love you. You have to, stay married and hitched to this monster because you were 19 or 18 when you got married, and and were in a religion that pushed you to get married young because you couldn't have sex before then, so you went and got married after like a month of knowing each other. 30 years later, you've been beaten for 30 years, but you can't divorce the guy. Like, Jesus.
Well, I mean, I could wonder about, you do take a,
I've made that mistake with our religion, though, except I never got married.
like, yeah, I would say probably
But you hooked up and had kids.
there's a lack of,
within like a month of knowing a person.
like in the community, within the community.
Not quite. No, it wasn't within a month. But I mean, I shacked up with the person like a month, you know, like 60 days or whatever, month and a half or something. And then we had a kid, you know, like less than a year later. So it's pretty quick.
Within families, there's generally a great lack of instruction, or, you know, women giving other women some good advice about this, or allowed to give them good advice, you know, things like that. And because obviously men have been, seems like maybe because they're the breadwinners, generally they're in the position to, you know, dictate good terms for themselves, you know, along these lines, right? Mostly. And so,
Well,
go ahead.
See, I can accept things like the problem of evil and free will and all that, like why bad shit has to happen. But to then take the extra step and say, well, here's a direct command from God, and he, you know, the only argument anyone can give me is, well, you just don't understand his plan. You know, there's a reason that he says you can't get divorced if you get beaten to within an inch of your life every day, because your husband didn't stick his dick in someone else. That, like, the best you've got is that my human wisdom just doesn't understand it. But other than that, it's purely immoral. It's not wise.
Well,
it's not
but
what I would
Sammy,
see.
I don't know any. I don't know any Christian, honestly. That, like, I'm talking about people in my personal circles that I would call friends that are Christians, would ever condone and would be the first. Like, if I ever knew somebody, you know, was mistreating his wife, and they were my friend, and they pretended to be a Christian, I would be right on him asking, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" I would be all in his face, and I'd want to know what's going on. I wouldn't take no bullshit, you know. That's how I am, because you're representing yourself as a Christian, dude, and otherwise, I mean, he would just lose a friend.
I see what you mean about the,
because, you know,
at some level it's the community fault. Because the JWs, or in the JWs, you're exactly right. It's not a bunch of brothers going up to the dude and saying, "Oi, what the fuck? Pull your head in." It's them. Oh, you know, you're his wife. You need to just be long suffering and just put up with it because it'll make God happy. Like, what the fuck? Even to acknowledge that it's happening, but sort of say, well, you know, the Bible says you can't get divorced.
And if I was,
yes.
I mean, I did, you know, it was nothing but fucking my duty to fucking keep a roof over her head and clothes on their backs, and anything they wanted, they had. You know what I mean? They had a fucking 3-bedroom house with a guy's house with a pool in Palm Desert, California. You know, so fuck. And that was
not everything you can to hold it together.
Work, you know, I've had experiences with demonic possession, not personally, but I've witnessed exorcisms kind of thing. You know, what you'd call an exorcism. Like, it was just you know, people dealing with demons. You know, and I saw that, and you know, it happens to comport very, very directly with you know, some of the gospel accounts that, you know, are right there and spoken of. And when that very thing happens in your presence, that's just, you know, it's just, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, and then you always get people with, well, it could have been this, or, you know, psychological issues, or, you know, some. Look, you can believe that if you know, look, when you hear a story and you don't want to believe it, if that's where your mind goes, you know, that's fine. You know, that's not what happened. You know, I was there. I saw it. Okay. It's like, is it, you know, if you're watching the fucking Exorcist movie and you took it all as literally real, it wasn't Hollywood makeup, and you saw that shit, you would have to account for it. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah, well, I think people do discount other people's, you know, propensity to lie, though. I mean, that's true, because we know, like, there's accounts of faith healers who work in front of large audiences and then later been found out to have staged it, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that went down in a living room where, you know, 6 people were involved, and nobody knows about it, you know, except those 6 people, because they, you know, it's not the kind of thing anybody, you know, feels they should talk about. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't a publicized ministry thing. This was somebody helping out a brother or a sister that was under attack, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess in that situation, I mean, you're thinking too, like, who would believe me, you know, right? Unless they already.
And like, yeah, all I can say is, look, I'm just going to say that was what I witnessed. You can doubt it, you know, sure, anyone can doubt anything. I'm just saying that's one of the reasons why I believe God exists and why I think it's the Christian God. But my position has always come to, or for the longest time has been, because okay, and it kind of goes back to this idea about authority and not trusting authority, and I know that it's my belief that the church wasn't immune from all the corruption that institutionalization brings, let's say, if that makes sense. But you get this authority, all of a sudden it's a political machine. In other words, it becomes a political machine, not a true goodness and love, not anything to do with that stuff, right? Not anything to do with what Jesus preached, or the love of God and loving each other, and that kind of thing, doing what's right by your neighbor and all that stuff. So okay, so I don't know where I was going with this, but
well, you were saying like the organized church is probably, Catholicism is the most like glaring example of the bastardization of Christianity, right?
Yeah, but it's not just no, it's from my view is, I mean, it suffered many forms of corruption. First of all, the Greek philosophical or the Platonization of Christianity with the Neoplatonists, Augustine especially getting involved, and that kind of opened up the door for the whole Calvinist Arminian division in the church. To my mind, all based, it would never happen if they would have never syncretized the Platonistic God with the Christian God and gave him all these attributes that the Bible never gives them. So anyway, there, once you get away from the biblical person of God, and superimpose this other God onto him, I don't know, things really get fucked up. But that's just another corruption. But that's unrelated to the the authority structure that forms and it becoming political, because that would happen anyways. So to me, there's always it's kind of like the deep state. There's always these higher level people get in charge, and then the concerns of the people get forgotten right away, and other motivations take charge, and then just, I don't know, whatever. I'm ranting a little bit because I hate the state of the world today.
It's all good. It's your show.
Yeah.
I find, and a lot of people, well, some people, I guess, find it dishonest, but like I try to use an epistemological approach just to try to find out why or how why people believe what they believe, or how they get into those beliefs, right? And like to try to decide whether it's rational. Is it rational for them? Does that necessarily mean it's rational for me, right? So it's like, if you don't have those shared experiences, then you might not develop those beliefs, and it just means maybe you're lacking in experience.
Yeah, I speak of that way as just we all come to we all have presuppositions based on our whole life experience. I mean, in other words, the difference between all of our life's experiences, right? Like, you just so one thing I try to do if I'm having an important conversation or you're having a debate about something, it makes things a lot easier if you pay attention to making sure you both are keeping on track with your definitions that you're using, and try not to veer from him or she thinking one thing and you're thinking another when you're using the same language, or I don't know, there's certain things you find, like when you're listening to debates that are common problems, that you can notice, oh, that person, you can tell, like, she thinks this but he's thinking that. So it might be good if someone was to interrupt and say, hey, I noticed you guys are using that term, but you're using it like this and you're using it like that, and that's causing this problem here, and so maybe can you do, or I don't know, do you know what I mean? So part of the problem,
I think that's like the best debate moderation. Like the best debate moderation is when a moderator can stop them and say, hey, you two are talking past each other, you need to clarify here.
I love that. Yeah, where there's and it's a fair moderator that can actually stop, because like someone like not modern debate, but not, I was gonna say what's his Marlon's Marlon Wilson, he does that debate channel.
I don't think I'm familiar with him. No.
What the? Really?
It was going pretty fast. He said with black people, which is he's talking about Fresh and Fit, I think, who I don't watch. But I know people who do debates on that platform, and yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with
it. The truth.
Is that Fresh and Fit? Stop them and say, hey, you two are talking past each other, you need to clarify here.
I love that. Yeah, where there's.
Oh no, that's right. Okay, no. So I mistake what he's saying for Fresh and Fit. Okay, so I just made the same mistake twice.
A fair moderator that can actually stop, because like someone like not modern debate, but not, I was gonna say what's his Marlon's Marlon Wilson. He does that debate channel.
I don't think I'm familiar with him. No.
What the? Really?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
The truth.
Is that Fresh and Fit?
No. He's a Christian. He's actually a Calvinist himself, and that's why I was going to point him out.
I think the guy on Fresh and Fit is a Christian. I don't know if he's a Calvinist.
He does debates, and like most of the Christians in here would know the channel. I'm trying to think of the name of his channel actually, but without looking it up. Marlon. and it's like,
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
let me see.
Okay, there was a comment. Oh, hey, Captive Desk. Good to see you, bud. Nice job on the Grassman Chronicles today. That was some interesting lore you had there. Was always a good time over there. The Captive Desk also has a channel covering cryptids called the Grassman Chronicles. So for any in the circle who don't know, look that up.
Yeah, just Christian debate channel Marlin, and I bet that's enough of a Google. Let's see, or Christian YouTube channel. Marlon Wilson, I think his name is.
Sorry, I'm waiting for it. My internet's pretty laggy, so.
Yeah. I think it's Wilson. I'm not sure about
Is that the Gospel Truth?
Yes, that's it. The Gospel Truth. Anyways, he was.
I think I had just subscribed to the Gospel Truth shortly before this too. But regardless, he referred to something like the black people or something like that.
Actually,
okay.
You might just happen to.
Okay, you just didn't recognize that's who I was talking about.
Watch his content yet? Yeah. I was like, I'm already subscribed, but I don't remember subscribing. So.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, do you know who Chris Fisher is? He's got a Reality is Not Optional. God is Open.
Yeah. Mind yourself in the woods. Good advice. Good advice, sir.
He's an open theist.
Yeah.
Chris Fisher. Do you know who he is? So he's debated on
I've heard
channel. And just most recently he debated Matt Slick on that channel. Okay, so Matt Slick, you know Matt Slick, right?
Yeah, I can't believe he's still around.
Okay, so you know who Matt Slick is. Okay, so I've debated Matt Slick for years. I've had so much fun with him, man. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had him get up off his chair and start pacing, man. Because I don't know if he's just so funny when he gets stuck on something. It's like, I mean, I like Matt, personally, but oh my god, he's hard to listen to sometimes. But anyways, that's beside the point. But okay, it gets back to the moderating. And Marlon is like, so Chris Fisher, he's an open theist. Open theists are like the arch enemies of Calvinists. I don't know if you knew that. In the theological world, it's like arch enemies right there. Not even anything close to the Calvinist Arminian, divide. It's like, that's what, like, open theists are the Arminians on steroids, right? Kind of view to the Calvinists, right? But anyways, so they got Chris Fisher's debating Matt Slick on there, and and what I love about Chris is he cuts Calvinists no slack. He mocks them just as badly as anybody, will mock anybody, as far as, especially someone like Matt Slick, because he called Matt Slick a liar and explained what, told the story why he is a liar, and Matt's all whining about it. And anyway, but Marlon cannot help himself from siding with the Calvinists over like a debate controversy. So it's kind of sad in that respect. I think the modern day debate. Yeah, you heard of Modern Day Debate?
Yeah.
That channel?
Yeah.
Is it James something? Maybe, I think.
Yeah, James Kuntz he's got other people working with him now, but he still does most of the moderation.
Right. I think just my impression is he's got more of a reputation of being a fair moderator when it comes to.
So I once, in the MDD chat, I misspelled James's name, James Kuntz's name, in a very unfortunate way, and I apologize for it. But yeah, that will forever haunt me.
Right. Hosting an actual debate going on. So, and yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the only person I've ever seen him accuse him of being dishonest was Darth Dawkins. That was a really funny video when he starts cussing James Kuntz out.
Oh my god!
I remember who was debating, but I think he rage quit that one.
So Darth was on there debating somebody, and he started tearing into James for bad moderating. Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Darth is. I mean, that's just classic Darth, dude. I don't know. I don't know. Have you listened to? I mean, we're not doing nothing if you were interested. There's a Darth Dawkins and Irenic Pelagian little video that Tom Rabbit put together. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, especially if you haven't. Okay, cool.
And that I will not play. So, all right, where are we at? 143. I think this is a good place to wrap for now. It's it's just another Sunday night. I'm beat, man. Honestly, I was going to do this morning. There were a bunch of streams going. I got really engrossed in the chat over at James Apperson's channel, and and then I took a nap. And oh, what is this? I feel like maybe we should look at what's going on over here, but then maybe not. Basically, I would have been playing music today, but that didn't happen. So no music, no life. And it's so I just kind of went minimalist. I did some laundry. I went to the grocery store. I took a nap, and just try to have a peaceful Sunday. Yeah. Be kind, be well, and stay trusting. Happy Sunday.